On part 1 of my design series, I talked about how you could create a design by following the car's natural lines, and also how little differences on the design will make it more interesting. Here's an example from that video, and it's basically just a gradient stripe following the car's lines, with a difference in the gradient direction and also a difference in the size of the lines. We'll move on to designs that contradict the natural lines on the car. If we try a direct contradiction to the line, such as a vertical bar that cuts across, it doesn't really work, and this is mainly because it's just too much contrast and the stripe really looks out of place. Now, there are well-known examples of designs like this that do work, and I might discuss it on a separate video. I will discuss, however, how to handle too much contrast in this current video. A diagonal line works better, and it doesn't add too much contrast, but it still makes the design more interesting. You can even line it up with smaller lines, such as the window edge here, to give it some unifying element. You can repeat the pattern, add small color and size differences, or even use different gradients and gradient directions. We can also use a shape that's not linear. And let's try to see how it looks like when we repeat it, or when we use a gradient. Now here's a more complex shape, and I find that it adds too much contrast and is really out of place. So one way to fix this is to just bring the colors closer to the color on the body, and even add a gradient to it. So I'll use this complex shape to create a livery, and you can see that I repeat the pattern, I brought down the contrast using color, and I used a gradient. And the sponsor placements are very generic. These are the same sponsor placements that I used on part 1. So this is the design that I ended up with. I created it in just 10 minutes, and it's still in black and white to show you that a basic design concept is still effective. So just change the color, choose what color you identify with the most, build an identity for yourself online using the design. And you can see that almost any color should still work on a good design. Here's a few more examples, and this one has the same sponsor and sponsor placements as the finished livery on part 1. And here's a linear design which contrasts with the natural lines on the car. Here's one with non-linear shapes, and there's a lot more going on the colors, and I might create a video on how to use colors in the future. But hit on subscribe, because the next one that I'll be discussing is how to use textures as a contrasting element.